It is the 6th of December. I had a video ready for you yesterday, but my cat kept upstaging me, and I decided to try to reissue a new video to make up for the one that I felt was pretty crappy. So today we're going to talk about what we were talking about in the last published video, which is what's going to happen on December 21st, 2012. What are the possible outcomes? And for the most part, I have heard a lot of different things from different scientists and things like that. So we're going to start with the most common sense answer. No one really has a definitive answer on what's going to happen. So because there's no person saying specifically what is or is not going to happen, you can just basically take conjecture and read into anything you want. So with that in mind, we're going to take a look at a couple of scenarios which could very well play out, and I will give credit to the appropriate people who have addressed these issues. The first one is nothing's going to happen at all. This conjecture is being supported based specifically on the astronomy and information which can be scientifically proven by astrophysics, which of course comes from NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So they don't think that the actual galactic center turning the sun off for 3 days is a likely possibility. They do not dismiss the possibility of a coronal mass ejection, because they already said that those things are almost impossible to predict because the sun is so unpredictable. So 3 days of darkness because of the sun entering the galactic center, they said, is probably not going to be an issue. So they're going to blow it off the books. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now there's some other scenarios which I will address. Right now we're just talking about the astrological symptoms of and the spiritual symptoms of 2012 December 21st, and then we'll talk about the human element, if you will. Okay, so now we get to the next group, the bump in the road. Now the bump in the road scenario is that there may still be some after effects of December 21st, 2012. Not enough to really destroy everything, but enough that it might create some complications. This is not really well ascribed to. So that one, I guess, would be the less of the worst. Okay. Now we get into the spiritual implications of December 21st. This is supported by David Wilcock. This is supported by yours truly, and I don't know if there's a lot of other people that talk about it, but basically in this case it's not going to be a Teotihuacan type event where earth destruction and lots of carnage. It's going to be more of a spiritual upright, spiritual age, a new age will start. That's what the Mayans were talking about. They were talking about ages, and they particularly held some significance to the galactic center, what they call the galactic rift. Last time that we had this occur, the Earth was in an ice age, and right after the galactic event of so was it 26,000 years ago we left the ice age. That's approximate, please don't quote me saying this exact, because it's not. And we abruptly left the Ice Age and began our interglacials. So, the Mayans obviously saw the world in a cyclic form and looked around the world and said, okay, there's something going on in the world today, and we see the world as cyclic. Okay, so the world is cyclic. Now, when you compare that with all the other stuff that we see, it's no surprise that there's some people who are getting nervous, because there are things now that are happening that has nothing to do with the Mayans. It's Earth-based, which is, as Dow Chemical would say, the human element. The human element is the way we perceive what's going on in the world, and with our emotions, and how we kick in our emotions. Now, as I said, the Mayan people were certainly suffering their own hardships 10,000 years ago. And they, their own world was degrading and collapsing. The Mayan people were thinking that if they, this is the thing that's such a pathetic irony, for a culture that has got such advanced calculations and advanced study of the stars and the moons, why would they think that doing human sacrifices and throwing people into the waters of deep wells so they would drown makes any sense? That it's going to change the fact that they were suffering from significant climatic changes in the weather. I guess they're not the only ones who do that kind of stuff. I mean, we've certainly seen plenty of that in history. But again, you got the human element there, even back then, in 10,000 AD, that the Mayan civilization was actually about 6,000, it's about 1,000 years ago. The Mayan civilization collapsed. I wrote that. It was actually about 600, 700 AD that they collapsed, but they certainly had what was left of them, certainly finished themselves off. The few Mayan people, ancestors that are left, have said, well, we thought that was the answer. Okay, I can accept that. Doesn't make any sense to me, especially in the 21st century. But the most important thing is now for us here in the human element, is what we're talking about, is the human being is a strange creature. We tend to often live with our heart on our sleeves. We don't think things through with this unit up here. We tend to think things through with our gut instinct. We tend to think, and sometimes quite incorrectly, that if I do a human or animal sacrifice, we're going to have rain. First of all, we don't even know where they came up with the idea. But then again, if you read the Old Testament Bible, Isaac was going to sacrifice his son Jacob just because he thought that's what God wanted, his only son. And then, of course, what did God do? He gives him the perfect ram to kill him at the last minute. Almost like God was saying, wait a minute, you know what, Isaac, I changed my mind. I really don't think you have to go here. Here's a perfect, unblemished ram for your sacrifice. Why would God need a sacrifice in the first place? Never could figure that one out. Why would God need to be sacrificing animals or people? But that's just the nature of the human existence, I guess, is that human beings don't think with logic. You can't say to these people, it's okay, it's okay. Go out there and kill another creature. It doesn't matter. Of course it matters. But let's get back to what we're talking about here. And if you want to go further, we can go further with that. Which is this. We live in an age when, while we still have a lot of science and a lot of technology and a lot of educated people who have studied and learned, December 21st is bringing out the primitives in all of us, because it's something that is so big, so global, so immense, that people don't really understand what it means to them. And so it is a fear. It's a primal fear, and it goes of the unknown that goes deep into the soul of the human race. And so people may actually do, again, stupid things. As far as we know, logically they'd be considered stupid, but people do that. Somebody might start sacrificing their firstborn babies. We don't know. Human beings are strange creatures. We come up with strange policies. Right now we also got Syria. We got Egypt's Morsi. We have Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. And they're all acting like, well, Benjamin Netanyahu is acting like a tyrant right now. He's pushing his Israeli agenda, and it's making a lot of other people angry in the Middle East. So we also have countries that are gearing up. Syria has already loaded up chemical weapons into their missiles so that they can use them. God knows who they're going to use them on. But you understand that if all these things are happening today, something is obviously going to happen. And the world, and geologically, is changing too. We have more earthquakes, we have more flooding, we have just experienced a severe hurricane here in the Northeast. I'm talking about Hurricane Sandy. They're having trouble in California. We still have record droughts in the Southwest, Southeast, and Midwest. That they're afraid that if this situation does not get rectified soon, but a good steady soaking rain, that we may have a famine next year. All of these things, the climatic issues put it into a fourth scenario. Actually, a third, or the bump in the road scenario is kind of a carry on to this, which is, I might as well bring it up. The fourth scenario is, it's the start of, it is not the apex of the event, of all the cataclysmic events. Which would make some sense, considering the fact is that we already know we have the fiscal cliff coming up, which is, again, the human element is involved with that one, between the Republicans and the Democrats in the United States. We have political instability all over the world. As I mentioned, with Morsi and Syria and, of course, Israel are definitely part of that problem. We also have people seeing severe rises in tornadoes, earthquakes, very strange weather such as droughts, floods. And so the things that are really kind of taken individually, they're pretty horrifying. But when you add them all up mathematically, it really, really has to give a person some pause and saying is, you know what? I don't think this is normal. So you might say, what, you mean tell me it took me that long to figure that out? Sure, it's not really something I would like to talk about, but it is a reality of what we see. So for us, for me and Lumi, for December 21st, 2012, that's opening day for the winter. And I've already received information from the National Weather Service regarding what they need for weather activity for the United States. Canada is doing good right now, so Canada I don't have to worry about. But unfortunately, Northeast is the United States, and the Northwest, far northwest of the United States, northeast of the United States, the colder weather is present. But again, it's not enough to really say winter's going to be normal yet. Although, according to they suggest in the Weather Channel to me, is we need to bring the Canadian cold air down from Canada, and we have to anchor it in the United States. Not only do we need the cold air for snowfall, but we also need the cold air because it's going to be important to provide normal weather and increase the amount of precipitation in the plain states. We need the rain so that in the snowpack, so we can have a good crop this year. So this winter I see is going to be a bumper crop. I think this winter is going to be exactly the kind of winter I dream of. And I think this will be a beautiful time overall. So you may not think it's a big deal. I look forward to it. And of course, last but not least, we got there's so much stuff going on. Like I said, we individually it's may seem non sequitur, but when you add up the numbers, they get to be quite amazing to see the figures. Now, I also want to remind every single person out there that if you want a particular weather event to occur in your area of the United States, please contact me and let me know, and I will do my best to look in what you're asking for. If you want to send it as a private email, you can send it to the email addresses we'll always give somewhere in the videos. You can also send to me independently here on YouTube as well. And so you can always send me a request and I will look into it. If you're from other regions of the world, please understand that I am not the Snow Queen of Europe. I am not the Snow Queen of Africa. I am not the Snow Weather Steward of Russia. Please understand that I do have access to talking to those people through telepathy. I do have the ability to reach out to them. But you have to do me a favor and understand that I cannot directly help you with getting those kind of weather events in those parts of the world. That is clearly specified by Mother Asna, that is the case. I can help you to reach them, but I cannot actually do their weather work, okay? I have enough area to do. My area covers United States, Canada, and southwestern Greenland. Greenland is split between me, Frisia, and the weather steward of the Russian continent, which right now was going to be Alexander Vosklov, and ended up going to a woman named Tanaya Rubchenko, which happens to be his girlfriend. So we got Greenland is split among 3 people. Incidentally, Antarctica is split among several different stewards as well. It's kind of one of those areas where we have kind of like a cooperative. We don't really, nobody has one particular power over the other. We just kind of, try to play fair. And but in this case so again, if you're calling me from overseas, I have one guy who calls me on my cell phone all the time. I don't know who he is. He calls me up. I try to talk to him. I can hear he's from India or one of those countries. I can barely understand a word he's saying to me. And then he hangs up because the connection is so terrible. And I really would like to remind him nicely. I'm not going to give his phone number on this video. That would be unfair. But I will say this much. If you're watching this video, please don't call me unless you can first of all try to find a good connection, because this is getting crazy. I can barely hear you. I want to talk to you. If you really want to talk to me, you're obviously spending a lot of money calling me. You're spending a lot of rupees calling me up, so obviously you got something to say. So please do me a favor and do leave me a message if you want on the voicemail. If I don't, because I have you on the banned list, meaning that the phone will not ring when you call me anymore, because it's just real frustrating because of my hearing, and of course with your bad connections, the two really do not work good together, except lead to total communications babble. So please be aware of that. And same thing for anybody else that's going to try to call me on the private line. If you're going to call me on the phone, if you got my phone number and if you've been calling me, please make sure to keep in mind that I don't have good hearing. So if you're going to call me, you have to be very understanding that I will do everything I can to hear you. But if I can't hear you for some reason, I get frustrated just like any other person who's got hearing loss. Okay? And that's the reason why I usually do things with text, is so that I can text me, you know. Oh, please don't text me on my cell phone. That gets really expensive. I don't have a texting option on my phone. But I do, of course, have a TDD, a teletype device for the deaf. So if you need to, if you want to talk to me through a relay service, I can talk to you because I have a TDD. So yes, I can communicate to me that way. Okay. What else? Can I talk? Can you talk? Yeah, of course. Excuse me. I haven't really talked to you in a while. I was gonna just say is that first of all, I told you I'm not good at this. Yeah, I know that. Okay. First of all, like Michele said, there's a lot of things going on, and I know that, you know, a lot of people are going to do a lot of stupid stuff, like Michele said. But let us please keep one thing in mind. Get out there and be excellent to one another. As I said in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Be out there and get out there and be excellent to one another, because, you know, we all are in this together. So I think that would make sense to go out there and say, hey, let's have some fun. Let's party like it's 1999. Let's go out there and have a good time. We don't know what the future holds, but we should go out there and say, all right, we're going to have a gang-banging, awesome Yule. And for some people, if you really worry about December 21st, 2012, have your awesome Yule the day before Yule. Yule Eve. Yule Eve? Yeah, Yule Eve. Okay. So, happy Yule Eve, everybody. Well, actually, it's a good idea. I mean, for most people, that would be December 20th. Yeah. But once it's, you know, because let me talk about that for a second, because that's a very big deal. December 20th, not the 21st. Listen carefully. December 20th, Eastern Time, is going to be December 21st. Okay, which means that 7 p.m. Eastern Time is December 21st, 0000 hours Universal Coordinated Time. So, for that reason, as Lemmy said, on Yule Eve, we will be having our Yule celebration. We're going to be having a fairly simple get together. I was hoping to try to put our videos on Hangouts of Facebook. We probably will be doing that. So, if you want to have some fun and talk with me and stuff, of course, that's something else too. What is? I really would love to have a live interactive chat with people. A live interactive chat with people. But how would we do that? Well, I was thinking is Ustream. Ustream. Me and Lemmy talked about this some time ago. The problem with Ustream is that they seem to want a lot of money just to open a communications channel. Yeah. Besides that, the camera's all over here and the computer's all over there, so a live one-to-one relationship isn't going to happen. Okay, so how about this instead? Okay, number two, we'll do two things at once. Now, if we put ourselves on Google Plus Hangouts, we can communicate with people. But how are you going to see the responses? Okay, that's a good question, because you're right. To see their responses, because see, the problem is the iPhone's camera is not facing the screen. Okay, so it's going to be virtually impossible for us to. Wait a second, I just had an idea. But I mean, if we could try using a mirror. Put a mirror in front of the phone's camera lens so you can reflect the picture back to you. Yeah, might work. But if we do have that, if we do decide to use Google Plus, I will let you know. And if we do, please let me remind every single person on this planet: no crude and rude images. I had, on testing night, I tested this Google Hangouts unofficially, and I got a couple of schmutz come in and start doing lewd sex acts on camera. I will not tolerate that. Okay? You do that, I'm going to really, really be upset with you. It's going to be very difficult, first of all, to get you guys out there on YouTube. It's going to be very hard to get you in Google Plus Hangouts. And since there only is a maximum of 16 people who can participate in the Hangout, it does not make it necessarily practical to do a lot of people. I don't know how the big guys and gals do like they do with when they can share the Hangout with thousands of people around the world. Like President Obama did when the Internet Town Hall. Oh, he's using Flash. Yeah, which unfortunately we don't have Flash that works well. No. So it's really kind of really make it hard for us to do that. And me and Lemmy are gonna look into it. So you can be rest assured that we got something up our sleeve. Of course, we are able to communicate with the IRC. Oh yes, IRC. We can use IRC downnet or undernet. So IRC.dal.net or irc.undernet.org, and so we can communicate with you, and or even fnet. Yes, fnet.org. I don't know what channel it would be called. Probably we call it #SnowQueen NA or NA Snow Queen. Okay. my nick would probably be either Michele, or maybe I'll use my real name for the video. IRC chat would be probably the best way to go because it's the least bandwidth hungry. It's gonna probably be feasible to do an IRC chat with everybody, but doing a video streaming and an IRC chat is very difficult, almost impossible to do. So if we did that, we would be a chat only. It would not be necessarily a video thing. Trying to communicate on Facebook is a complicated practice. Well, there is another option. There is another option. You're right, Lom. We could do a Yahoo group contact chat on Yahoo Messenger. That would be another way where I could possibly make it possible for me and you, all of us, to get together in a giant conference and hang out if you want. If you're interested with that, please contact me and let me know, and we will see if we can make that happen, because I would like to see it happen. The opening celebration for Yule, month on top of that, will be held, as I said earlier, on 7 p.m. December 20th. Okay? It's relatively simple. It's not really big. It's not really a fancy shindig. There's no major candle burning or anything like that. It's just more of just an opening speech and a, invocation, convocation kind of thing to welcome you in and hope that you enjoy the season. And pretty much going to be doing the same thing we're doing now, which is to let you know that we are here for you and that we would love to talk to you. So please do not be afraid to contact us. Well, like I said, there's so many things going on in this Yule season that I don't think there are going to be too many people who are going to be ready to deal with everything. It's just too much. So, with no further ado, let me just let you know right now that I am very honored to be the North American Snow Queen. I am going to do everything I can to bring the winter weather back into normalcy. And I'm going to work and strive to make sure we got the kind of snowpack we need to refill the aquifers and to restore weather normalcy for the North American continent, and so we won't enter into a famine for next year. So that's definitely going to be our project for the season. And of course, if you are calling from overseas, please make sure to understand that I do have hearing loss. So it would be better for you to communicate with me either via the email or if you really need to try to call me, you could probably use a TDD, but I really prefer just to use the computer. Please, if you really want to talk to me, is make sure that your message does not look like something that's trying to sell me something. I have to remind that to you. I look at the headers of the messages a lot more than I read the actual text. But if I see that the message looks like you're trying to sell me insurance or some business plan or something like that, I'm just not going to read the message, okay? If you say a message like, Miss Snow Queen, please make it snow, or could you help me, please, or something that says specifically what you need or what you want, make it, then I'll look at the message at least. I'll look at it. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to act on it, but I will at least look at it. It makes sense to me, too, because there's the 21st century in Michele's, right? We got so much stuff going on. And I think that people have really got kind of lost track with well, the problem is, Loomis, it's not that they lost track. It's just that they're looking at the a lot of people seem to have this me attitude. Me, myself, and me. Me, myself, and I. Oh, I have to worry about my needs, my goals, my aspirations, my focus, my future, my blah 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 blah. And in this case, here I am. I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm worried about the we philosophy. I'm worried about us. Our. Okay. And so I'm worried more about the everybody, not just me attitude. So it makes a difference because you're not afraid to say, "Oh, something's wrong," right? And so, what do you think we should do for those people who are worried about December 21st being Teowaki? Well, the first thing I think is that everybody should. It's a good idea anyway. It doesn't matter if it's Teowaki or not. You should have a reserve of water, a cake of food, extra fuel for your lighting and your heating and your cooking. Ask the people who are still suffering from power failures from Hurricane Sandy. And I thought they were pretty much over, but there's still a small group of them in Breezy Point. And so these people are still urban camping in their homes because they still don't have electricity yet. Right? So having food, fuel, extra blankets, water is essentially a good idea no matter what. So if you have all those things and appropriate winter gear, you will probably do pretty well. Now, the question that often comes up is, how long should I prepare for? The answer is Mother and Father God, Mother Asna and Father Yahweh, know that there are only so much you can do, and that they will provide for you, and you just have to go out there and do the best you can. Okay? That's a little different than the typical textbook BS-orama we hear about. Okay? We are talking about the future of humanity here. We're talking about people saying to themselves, hey, this is really cool. Look at all the stuff that's going on in the world today. Look at all the things that we're learning about our enemies and our friends. Look at the futures. Yeah, look at the futures. We have come from a time when we have to, we say we have to say ourselves, we got to prepare, we got to make reasonable accommodations. Reasonable accommodations does not mean going out there and buying a supermarket worth of frozen food and then buying enough diesel fuel to run a generator to keep that frozen food frozen for years on end. First of all, that's not feasible. And second of all, not for one person anyway. Okay? And second of all, it's hoarding to the point where it's excessive. And second of all, third of all, why would you want to use frozen food in the first place? Now, if things really got so bad as that there would be a real Stone Age, sure, frozen food would be a reasonable accommodation because it's going to be freezing outside, and the temperatures could be like in the Arctic and the Antarctic. Frozen food could be placed outside. It'll be frozen solid for months, if not years. All you have to do then is just go ahead and grab a frozen entree, put it in your microwave, which obviously you're powering up at a generator source, and go ahead and eat. But after a while, you're going to run out of food too. So, all right, so people should use common sense. Yes, they should. Okay. So, as I said, there are people that can do that. If you're one of those people, then you have nothing to worry about. But that's not the majority of people I'm talking to here. Majority of people I'm talking here can probably save up enough money to maybe prepare for maybe weeks worth of food and water and energy That's fine. If that's what you can do, that's what you can do. No one's gonna hold out against you. Mother Asna, Father Yahweh know that there are people who can do more, and those people should help others do more. But the whole idea is to, just like the Mormons say, as much as I don't really subscribe to their mentality, the Mormons' concept of having a year's worth of food on hand has been a godsend when things get hard. It's something that every American should do. If they can do that, is to have a couple months to a year's worth of food, water, and clothing and shelter supplies on hand, so that you never have to worry about being totally out in the cold. So that's something to think about. Okay, so that's about it. And I'll see you on December 20th at 7 p.m. There will not be any other videos, I don't think, scheduled until that date, unless something really comes up. So if you have any comments or suggestions or concerns, please bring them to my attention by comments or by email, and or if you have access to my phone line, communications lines, please make sure when you call if I can't answer your call right away, just leave a message. Make sure to speak clearly, and I will get to it. If you have access to a TDD or know how to use a TDD relay service, maybe that would be the best way to go, because then at least I can hear what you got to say. Okay? So I'll talk to you soon. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything stupid. And I think we'll do fine this year. Okay? And the most important thing to do is to enjoy our time. I mean, this is not permanent. There's more after this world. Trust me. I know it. I can feel it. Good night, everybody. Good night.